It was a sunny Thursday afternoon. The kind of day when the campus buzzed with life, students trooping out from lectures, the air filled with chatter, laughter, and relief from the day's mental exhaustion. Tabitha, the final-year nursing student, was among them. She walked down the school pathway, her white uniform slightly wrinkled from the long hours of intensive practical session. Her body ached and her feet dragged heavily beneath her. Her only thought was to get to her hostel, collapse on her bed, and forget the world for a few hours. As she walked along the narrow campus pathway, her foot slammed against a protruding stone, and before she could regain her balance, she landed awkwardly onto the hard ground. She hissed in pain, looking down to see blood tickling from a fresh bruise on her toe. Humiliated and in pain, she stayed there, not knowing if she had the strength to move. Then came a soft voice.
"Are you okay?"
Samaria, an economics student who was heading to her hostel from a late lecture, rushed to her side. Without hesitation, she helped Tabitha up, supported her weight and guided her gently to her nearby hostel room. Inside, Samaria brought out a small first aid box, an unexpected thing for a non-medical student to have, and with surprising care, she helped clean Tabitha's bruised toe, disinfected it and ensured she was comfortable. She had followed Tabitha's instructions carefully, redressing the wound with a neat precision that even surprised the nursing student herself.
"You are a lifesaver,"
Tabitha murmured, her voice thick with emotion.
"If you hadn't shown up, I would have sat there in pain forever."
Samaria smiled, soft and warm.
"It's nothing. Anyone would have done it. I'm happy you are okay."
And from that small moment, the friendship was born. In the days that followed, Samaria began stopping by at Tabitha's hostel every afternoon, bringing food and juice alongside sometimes. She helped her redress her wound. They chatted about everything from school stress to dreams they barely spoke about before. Even though Samaria wasn't a nurse, she followed Tabitha's instructions like a pro, listening and learning as she went. She was being guided by the nursing student herself. When the injury finally healed, their bond had already sealed tight. Their friendship deepened beyond casual bonds. Though they belonged to different faculties, they synced like sisters. They walked to class together, waited for each other after lectures, and found peace in each other's company, spending hours reading under the trees, sharing food, and talking about everything and nothing, and even attending campus events together. They were rarely apart. People started calling them the inseparables. One afternoon, after a long lecture, Tabitha and Samaria sat in an empty lecture hall, books open but forgotten. They chatted and laughed, voices echoing faintly through the whole room. That's when Toby walked in. Tall, broad-shouldered, effortlessly charismatic. He had a presence that made heads turn, athletic with an enigmatic smile and the quiet confidence of someone who knew the effect he had on people. He smiled warmly.
"Hey, Tabitha! Mind if I join the both of you?"
Tabitha's heart fluttered. She had admired him from afar for months, silently fantasizing about the day he would finally notice her. She moved aside, smiling shyly. But Toby's eyes were fixed on Samaria.
"I've been seeing you around with Tabitha. I'm Toby."
He said, offering Samaria a charming smile. Samaria, a bit shy, nodded politely.
"I'm Samaria. Nice to meet you."
They struck up a conversation, an easy, natural exchange filled with laughter and shared stories. Tabitha sat stunned in silence, her smile tight. She watched them, her heart sinking with each passing second. Toby didn't even glance at her direction. His eyes were fixed on Samaria as if she was the only one in the room. Toby had never looked at Tabitha that way, even though she had tried giving him signs. But now, he seemed so interested in Samaria, who didn't even notice him before. She tried to join the conversation, but it was like trying to cut into glass. They were locked in each other's world. Something in Tabitha's heart twisted. Her crush, the boy she had admired in silence, was laughing and joking with her best friend like they'd always known each other. Her heart clenched. A strange ache coiled inside her chest. Toby was her crush. He was supposed to notice her, not her best friend. From then on, Toby became a regular presence in Samaria's life. He visited her hostel often, sometimes bringing lunch and helping her with her assignments. And somehow, each time Tabitha came to visit Samaria, Toby was already there. Tabitha smiled on the outside, but inside churned. She felt invisible. Forgotten. Replaced. Though, Samaria always made efforts to involve her in everything, but it never felt the same anymore. Something was changing, and Tabitha could feel herself slipping down. She felt like she was being pushed aside and left out. Her heart ached every time she saw them together. She never voiced out her pain, she never showed it. But it festered inside her, a silent fire that burned hotter each day. Then one night, Samaria showed up at Tabitha's hostel room, her face glowing with excitement. She had just come from a date and couldn't wait to share the news with her best friend.
Guess what? Toby asked me to be his girlfriend.
She said, her face beaming with joy. Tabitha forced a smile.
Wow! Really? That's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
But when Samaria left that night, Tabitha's smile faded. She sat on her bed and the tears she had held back finally fell, and angry tears. The pain in her was growing.
It should have been me instead, not Samaria.
She whispered to herself. It wasn't jealousy anymore, it was heartbreak, bitterness, and something darker creeping in. It hurt to pretend to be happy when her heart was breaking. The year rolled by a tide. Tabitha kept her pain hidden, burying it beneath her ever-present smile. She watched from sidelines as Toby and Samaria's love blossomed. She was their constant third wheel, the best friend and helper but also an outsider. The months passed. Graduation came and went. During their NYSC year, the distance made things a little easier, until the news dropped. Toby had proposed. On the final day of service, in front of dozens of coppers, Toby went down on one knee and asked Samaria to be his wife. She said yes joyfully. The video was sent to their school group chat. Everyone gushed about the couple. Tabitha saw the video and couldn't stop watching it over and over again. She felt a consuming darkness. The jealousy she once suppressed turned into hatred. She couldn't understand how the man she had longed for ended up loving someone else, someone who had unknowingly stolen everything away from her. She didn't show the hatred on her face. She congratulated them and even helped with wedding plans. She attended the wedding, dressed in gold and smiling as she handed over her gift. The couple looked radiant, surrounded by love. But deep inside Tabitha, something cracked. And from that crack, something dangerous began to grow. Years passed, and life seemed to blow in all the right directions, at least for some. Toby, now a well-respected manager in a multi-million-dollar oil and gas company, was living his dream with a successful career and a loving wife Samaria by his side. His life was perfect. Wanting to keep his wife away from the stress of a 9-to-5 job, Toby opened a luxurious supermarket for Samaria. It was big, well-stocked, and strategically located in the heart of the city. She managed it with grace and warmth, earning love and respect from both her staff and customers. Meanwhile, Tabitha had also carved out a good life. She worked full-time as a nurse in a high-end private hospital. Her salary was more than enough, her career was stable, and people respected her for her dedication. But behind her white coat and professional smile, something darker has been growing. Envy. Every time she saw Samaria happy photos on social media, every time she heard Toby's voice, laughter, or saw them holding hands at gatherings, her heart ached. She told herself a story, one she believed completely: if Samaria hadn't stepped into her life that day that she fell, she would be the one living in luxury. She would be the one married to Toby. She would be the one with everything. But still, she played the role of a loyal friend. She never let her feelings show, not to Samaria. Months later, Samaria gave birth to a beautiful girl. They named her Eliana. She had Toby's charming smile and Samaria's kind eyes. The baby lit up any room she entered. Surprisingly, Tabitha grew fond of her. She truly cared, even though she was jealous. Eliana loved her like a second mother. She adored her in return, calling her Auntie Tabby. Eliana would run into her arms each time she visited. She spent most of her holidays at Tabitha's apartment, where they played games and baked cookies. Sometimes when her parents were swamped with work, it was Tabitha who picked her up from school and tucked her onto her bed at night, reading bedtime stories to her. To the world, Tabitha was the best aunt. But inside, her heart was still full of pain. One rainy evening, Samaria fell ill. She complained about fever, chills and fatigue. It didn't seem serious. Tabitha offered to treat her privately at home, claiming it was something she handled every day. Toby insisted she get full care.
I'm a nurse. I will make sure she gets the best care,
Tabitha said confidently. Samaria tried to protest.
I don't want you to stress yourself. I can go to the hospital if it gets worse.
But Tabitha smiled.
Don't forget how you helped me on the first day we met. Allow me to repay your kindness, please.
Samaria smiled and agreed. Tabitha smiled back. But behind that smile was something full of evil. Tabitha returned home that night and sat in silence, a crooked smile slowly forming on her lips. This was it. Her chance to take back everything. She went to her drawer and pulled out a small glass vial, clear liquid, almost invisible like water. A poison. One that worked quietly and slowly, weakening the body without immediate signs. She had stolen it from the hospital she worked at months ago, just in case. The next day, she added a few drops into the IV drip before leaving home. She walked into Samaria's house with a kind smile and soft eyes. Toby greeted her with a relief.
Thank you, Tabitha. You're a lifesaver.
Tabitha shook her head humbly.
It's nothing. She's my best friend.
She set up the IV drip, made sure Samaria was comfortable and sat beside her with a gentle concern. Everything looked normal. Samaria smiled and said,
Thank you for being here.
Tabitha just smiled back without a word. Every evening, Tabitha prepared the IV drip carefully, always adding the poison to it and returning to Samaria's house the next day to hang it. She checked Samaria's pulse, touched her forehead, and wrote notes like a professional. As the days passed, Samaria got better. Toby was very happy. He couldn't stop thanking Tabitha. Months later, Samaria leaned over the balcony, humming softly to herself. It had been months since the illness. Thanks to Tabitha's constant care and unwavering presence, Samaria had recovered, or so everyone thought. Her laughter had returned, her steps were lighter and her bond with Toby and Eliana grew stronger by the day. But on this particular morning, something changed. She had just finished combing Eliana's hair and planted a kiss on her forehead. She stood up with a smile and was about to go get water when she suddenly stopped. Her eyes looked strange. Her body shook slightly, then without warning, she collapsed to the floor. She whispered Eliana's name, but before the child could respond, Samaria's eyes rolled back, her body went limp. Eliana screamed.
Mommy!
Toby rushed in, his heart pounding. He held Samaria tightly, screaming and begging her to wake up, but it was too late. She was gone. Just like that. After Samaria's funeral, the house was filled with sadness. Toby was heartbroken. He had lost his best friend, his wife, the woman who once filled the home with laughter. Eliana, their daughter, cried every night, asking when her mommy would come back. Tabitha, once Samaria's best friend, was now the shoulder Toby leaned on. She cared for Eliana, cooked for the family, and helped with everything and stayed close to Toby during his pain. Slowly, she became a strong presence in their lives. Eliana grew more attached to her, even smiling again because of Tabitha's gentle care. Toby noticed how kind and helpful Tabitha was. He didn't have the strength to raise Eliana alone, and Tabitha had stepped in when he needed someone the most. Everyone praised Tabitha.
She's so kind. She treats Eliana like her own child.
They whispered. Months passed. Toby's mother encouraged him to remarry, mostly for Eliana's sake.
Eliana needs a mother figure. She's too young to grow with that one. And there is someone who fits perfectly.
His mother told him. Toby knew who she was referring to. He wasn't ready, and Tabitha will definitely not accept that. She will definitely think he was taking advantage of her kindness. But after thinking about it for a while, he knew he needed to try his luck. Eliana's happiness came fast. This was the only way forward. Toby waited for the perfect moment. It came one breezy evening as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in soft orange and purple. Eliana was playing with wildflowers in the garden. Tabitha was clearing the dishes when he approached her.
I wanted to talk to you about something.
She turned, giving him that usual serene smile.
All right, I'm all ears.
He hesitated, then met her eyes.
Would you be willing to marry me? For Eliana's sake. She needs you, and I need someone I can trust.
There was a pause. Tabitha's heart skipped. Not from surprise, but from satisfaction. She had waited for this moment. Everything she had done, every sacrifice, every gesture, it had finally led her here. She nodded, voice soft and perfectly measured.
Yes, of course, Toby. I will do anything for Eliana. And for you.
The wedding was simple. Quiet. Meant to be modest out of respect for Samaria's memory. It was peaceful. Everyone believed it was the right choice. After the wedding, Tabitha resigned from her nursing job and fully took over the supermarket. She was now in charge of the business Samaria once loved. Everything she had envied now belonged to her, the house, the man, the dream, the life. But she didn't stop loving Eliana. Even when she finally had her own daughter Julie, she still treated Eliana like her own. Eliana and Julie grew up as close sisters, inseparable best friends, like two peas in a pod. They shared secrets, played pranks, and even wore matching dress. Julie called her my big sister, and she adored her big sister more than anyone in the world, and Eliana adored her younger sister too. Years rolled by. Eliana grew up and went off to university. She was no longer the little girl she used to be. She was now mature, kind-hearted, and just as smart as her mother. During her school break, she came home for holidays. Her younger sister Julie was so happy to see her. They chatted about school as usual. One sunny afternoon, she decided to do a deep cleaning. The family's old library hadn't been touched in years, so she took a broom and mop and headed inside. Dust coated the bookshelves. Cobwebs clung to the corners. She sneezed as she cleaned, but smiled, happy to do something useful. While dusting the shelf and wiping the old books, her eyes landed on an old small, leather-bound diary, faded and hidden between two large books. Curious, she brought it out, dusted it off and flipped it open. The handwriting was familiar. Neat and round. It was her stepmother's diary. She laughed softly.
Wow! Mommy Tabby had a diary. Oh, that's so nice.
She began to read through it. At first, it was fun, stories about her childhood, family moments, shopping list, note about her job, silly thoughts, and even how she met her mother Samaria. But then, something changed. As she flipped through the page, she stumbled on a page dated 14 years ago. Her eyes fell on a strange sentence. The writing in a shaky ink. Putting 2 drops of oleandrin every day in Samaria's drip so I can have him. Eliana paused. Her smile faded. What did that mean? Oleandrin? She had never heard that word before. She pulled out her phone, typed it into the search bar, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Oleandrin, a rare slow-acting poison that attacks the nervous system. Colorless, odorless, and deadly. Often fatal when given in repeated small doses. Often used in undetectable murders. Eliana Wilde stopped. Her heart began to race. She couldn't believe it. Her mother and Mommy Tabby were best friends. Mama Tabby loved her mother, didn't she? She remembered being just 8 years old, but she always saw them together. She remembered her mother's trust in Tabitha. How she had always said, "Tabitha is like a sister to me," but the diary told a different story.
So I can have him? Did that mean my father?
She whispered to herself loudly. Eliana's hand shook. Her chest tightened. Her whole childhood flashed before her eyes. Was everything a lie? She looked at the diary again, now stained with her own tears. Everything she believed in was a big question. She quietly placed the diary back at the shelf and left. That night, Eliana laid on her bed staring at the ceiling, her brain raced. Her breath was shallow. Her heart broken. She couldn't stop thinking about what she had read.
2 drops of oleandrin every day so I can have him. Could this really be true?
She whispered to herself. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the thought of her late mother Samaria filled her heart. Her warm hug, her gentle voice. Her laughter. Now gone. Possibly taken by the woman who raised her. She cried silently. She didn't know who to tell or what to do. The next morning, Eliana was not herself. Her usual bright smile was missing. She didn't talk much. Julie noticed immediately.
You've been acting strange. You look sick. What's wrong?
She asked, truly concerned.
I'm fine.
Eliana replied.
No, you are not. I know you so well. Please tell me what's wrong. Don't lie to me. You always tell me everything. What is it?
After a long silence, Eliana whispered.
I found something. What is it? Show me.
Eliana led Julie to the old library and handed her the diary. Julie read it but didn't understand what it meant, but when Eliana told her what it meant, her eyes widened. Her hands began to shake.
You are not going to tell that, right? Are you?
Julie whispered.
Why not? He deserves to know the truth. Your mom killed my mom.
Eliana said, her voice cracking. Julie stepped back, her face pale.
And what if she finds out that you know? You think she will let you live? If she could kill her own best friend just to have a crush, she can definitely kill you too just to keep the secret hidden.
Eliana looked at her in disbelief.
Wait. Are you saying all this to protect her because she's your mother? She's not just my mother, she's our mother. She raised you like her own. She loved you like her own daughter. Doesn't that matter? Doesn't it count?
Julie asked, her eyes scared and confused.
She's not my mother. She's the woman who killed my mother just so she can have her crush, our dad.
Eliana said, her voice full of pain. Julie grabbed Eliana's hands.
I know how this is going to sound, but please don't tell Dad. Don't destroy our family. We are happy. We have peace. What happened is all in the past. It shouldn't be our business. What if something happened back then that made her do it? What if she had no choice? If the truth comes out, she will go to jail. And we will lose everything. Please rethink your decision.
Eliana couldn't believe her ears.
I thought you would be by my side. This is not who I know. This is not who you are.
She whispered in disbelief.
I lost my mother, but I won't lose myself too. I'm sorry, Julie, but this is not okay. I can't keep quiet. Dad deserves to know the truth.
Just as Eliana was about leaving the library, Julie's eyes darted the room. Panic rushed over her like a wave. She spotted a hammer on the table, and before she could stop her hand, she hit the hammer on Eliana's head. She dropped the hammer, shaking.
What did I just do?
Her hands were shaking as she stared at the unconscious body on the floor. She had just hit her sister on the head. She didn't mean to, but she panicked. She quickly dragged her to the corner of the library after tying her hands and legs with an old cloth, then locked the door. Julie came out of the library, trying hard to look normal, but inside she was panicking. Guilt consumed her. Her mind raced.
Julie, what did you just do? What have I done? What did I just do? I can't keep her tied up there forever. Someone will notice. Dad will definitely ask of her.
She didn't want to tell anyone, but after pacing the living room for almost 30 minutes, she made a decision she didn't want to make. She was going to tell her mother. It was her fault anyways.
She found the diary.
Julie whispered to her mother. Tabitha was confused.
Who? What are you talking about? What diary? Eliana found your old diary. Why did you kill her mother? You are a murderer.
Julie said, her eyes filled with tears. Tabitha froze. Her eyes widened with fear. Words escaped from her mouth. She didn't know what to say.
Why will you do that kind of thing and still keep a record about it? Why is it in your diary? What are you keeping it for?
Julie asked, staring at her mother. Tabitha's face went pale. She had written it down because she didn't want to skip a day in adding the 2 drops of poison in Samaria's IV drip, and had thought she had long disposed the diary. But now, Eliana had found it and she was about to get into a lifetime problem. She couldn't let that happen.
Where is she now? In the library. I tied her up.
Tabitha quickly made her way to the library and Julie followed behind. When she got inside and saw Eliana, her hands flew to her mouth in shock. But her shock quickly turned into cold emergency.
We must kill her tonight before your father finds out,
she whispered. Julie nodded her head in disagreement.
No, Mom. We can't do that. She's my sister. You've killed once. I don't know what your reason was, but I won't let you kill again.
Tabitha looked at her daughter with serious face.
Julie, you don't understand. If Eliana tells anyone, I will be doomed. I won't get away with it. I will go to jail. You know how stubborn she can be. She always does what is in her mind. Even if we beg her from now till whenever not to tell your dad, she won't listen to us. And you know how strict your father is. He won't spare me. You have to listen to me. Or do you want me to go to jail? You will lose me forever if I go to jail. Do you want that? Is that what you want? No, Mom. I don't want to lose you. We can just explain to them. There is nothing to explain. She saw the truth. I poisoned Samaria. If anyone finds out, it's over for me. But you raised her like your daughter. You treated her the same way you treated me. Yes, I did that to protect myself. But right now, she's a danger. We have to get rid of her tonight. Let's do this for the sake of this family. For your future. I'm your mother, Julie. You have to choose. Me or her.
Julie dropped to her knees in confusion and tears. She didn't want to lose her mother and she couldn't bear the thought of killing Eliana. After a long silence, she nodded slowly.
Okay, we will do it tonight.
Later that evening, Mr. Toby returned from work looking tired. He looked around the house, smiling as always. He called out Eliana's name, expecting her to run to him and hug him like she always did. But she didn't appear.
Where is Eliana?
He asked. Tabitha quickly came out with a fake smile.
Welcome, darling. Oh, Eliana went for a school program. She'll be back soon.
Toby raised an eyebrow.
She didn't tell me about it, and it's past 6 p.m. already.
She must have forgotten. Don't worry, she'll be back soon.
Tabitha said calmly, hiding her fear. Toby wasn't convinced, but he stayed calm and tried calling her number, but it was switched off. By 7 p.m., Eliana still hasn't returned. Toby was now very worried. He rushed to the police station to report, but the officers told him he had to wait for 72 hours before she could be declared missing. Toby returned home with a heavy heart. His heart was racing with fear and sadness. He sat on the bed thinking about his late wife Samaria and their daughter. He felt helpless.
I can't lose her too,
he whispered. Tabitha came to sit beside him. She rubbed his back gently and softly said,
Please don't stress too much about it. I'm sure she's fine and will return soon. Try and get some sleep.
After a long while, Toby closed his eyes and fell asleep, though his heart was heavy. Midnight was fast approaching. Tabitha and Julie stood in the dark library room with a large bag beside them.
Let's do this before your father wakes up,
Tabitha said, and Eliana nodded. They approached Eliana slowly with a deep breath. Mr. Toby woke up in the middle of the night with the thought of his daughter ringing in his head. Then he noticed something strange. Tabitha was not beside him in bed. He sat up slowly and looked at the clock. It was past 12 midnight. He wondered where she went. He waited for a few minutes hoping she would return, but she didn't. Worried, he got out of the bed and began searching for her. He walked through the quiet sitting room. The lights were off. He went to check Julie's room to see if she was there, but she wasn't there, not even Julie herself. Her bed was empty. His heart pounded. He wondered where they were. He checked the kitchen, walked through the backyard and even the front of the house, no sign of either of them. Just as he passed the door to the old, dusty library, a faint noise caught his attention. He paused. He heard muffled sound, like someone crying or struggling. Curious to know what the sound was all about, he quietly opened the door and what he saw shocked him. Inside the dark library room stood Tabitha and Julie, holding a tied-up Eliana on the ground. The room was quiet for a second, no one moved. Tabitha froze, the clothes she was holding still in her hand. Julie stood there, her hands shaking. Toby stood at the door shocked. It felt like time stopped. He couldn't believe the sight of what he just saw.
What's going on here?
He asked in a cold, broken voice. He rushed to his daughter and untied her. Eliana was crying and held onto him tightly. In tears, Eliana told her father everything, about finding the diary, reading about the poison, and how she told Julie. How she was hit, tied up, and how Tabitha and Julie agreed to silence her forever. Toby turned to Tabitha, his eyes were with shock.
Is this true?
He asked in disbelief. Tabitha didn't answer. She stood there in fear. He turned to Julie.
You were going to help your mother kill your sister?
He asked, hurt. Julie cried hard.
Dad, I didn't mean to. I was scared. I didn't want to lose Mom. She forced me. Please, I'm sorry, Dad.
Toby raised his hand to hit her, but stopped himself.
You are not the daughter I raised.
He turned back to Tabitha.
You came into my house. You killed my wife. You pretended to love us. You played mother role to my daughter. And now you try to kill her too? You murdered the woman I loved and dragged my daughters into it.
He shouted. Tabitha finally spoke, her voice shaking.
I loved you, Toby. I've always loved you. She took you away from me. Everything I did was for you, was for us. I just wanted to keep you. I just wanted to keep what I built.
Toby looked at her with disgust.
You didn't build anything. You destroyed everything.
He didn't wait anymore. He picked up his phone and called the police. Within minutes, sirens were heard. The police had arrived. They arrested Tabitha and Julie. Julie screamed, begging her father for forgiveness. Tabitha didn't say anything, she just lowered her head in shame and regret. Months passed. The trial shook the entire place. Tabitha was sentenced to life in prison. Julie, given her age and mental distress, was sent to juvenile rehabilitation and placed under close supervision. Eliana stayed strong. She didn't hate Julie, but their bond was never the same. She visited Julie sometimes, because no matter what happened, they were still sisters. Weeks later, she stood in front of her mother's grave with flowers.
I hope you are proud, Mom. I found the truth.
Eliana whispered. She placed the flower gently on the grave.
I miss you, Mom.
No matter how well a lie is hidden, the truth will always come out, sometimes when we least expect it. Jealousy can turn love into hate and kindness into betrayal. When we allow envy to control us, we end up destroying not only others but also ourselves. Tabitha was once a good friend, but because she became jealous, she made a terrible decision that hurt many people. It also shows that when you do something kind, it should come from your heart, not because you want something in return. No matter how well you try to hide a bad secret, the truth will always come out one day. Eliana and Julie's relationship shows that real family is about love and care, not just blood. But when someone makes a bad choice out of jealousy, it can ruin many lives. Eliana showed courage by standing up for the truth, even though it was hard. Julie made a mistake by trying to hide the truth, which only made things worse. In the end, the story reminds us to always do the right thing, be honest, and not let jealousy control us, because the truth will always come out, no matter what. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. Kindly leave your thoughts in the comment section and also do well to share with your family, friends, in fact all your loved ones. Something good is always coming, so please stay tuned for more interesting and amazing stories from this channel.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to Hopella Stories.